And we are live. What's good, y'all? It's your man DL Saint. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I really want to know podcast, man. It's election day in America, guys. It's election day. It's election day. I hope you guys are well. Hope everything is cool. Um, Happy Tuesday. So, you guys know I've been kind of paying attention a little bit to this little off-market election. I mean, this isn't the midterms. The midterms are coming up, November 2026. That's going to be a big one. But could this election be a bellwether? Because what information can we glean from this election? What are the American people thinking? Those are the questions that people are wondering. The political outsiders are looking at this. Are they putting too much into it? Are they not putting enough into it as far as what they see happening, what's going on? That's what I want to talk about. You guys know I'm interested in this New York race. That's the biggest race on TV. It's entertaining, it's fascinating, it's all that good stuff. So, yeah, let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed, man. So I appreciate you guys. I know I'm on a random time. I don't normally come on this early, but I mean, whatever. It's the election, right? I figured I'd jump on here now. Got some running around to do this afternoon, so I'm not sure what time I would be able to jump on this evening. I just don't know. Yeah, we got some stuff to do, stuff going on. So I figured, you know what? Let me jump on now before things get rolling. And before I forget, please do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a comment if you can. Appreciate you. For those who are my day ones, man, I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for all the support. We know YouTube doesn't like this content because I talk about red pill stuff over here. I talk about a lot of things over here. And YouTube doesn't like some of the stuff I talk about. And I think I wound up getting myself on that naughty list, that shadow band. But maybe not. Maybe just, maybe, the algorithm just isn't pushing this content. I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. I got my day ones and we slowly reach out to different folks. We're doing more ATC content. I'm a retired air traffic controller. So doing this shutdown definitely had, an opinion of what's going on. There's still more to come with this shutdown, guys. Once this shutdown is over, does not mean the ATC, the air traffic control issues, go away. In fact, a lot of resignations might occur because of this shutdown. A lot of people who are eligible to retire will probably go ahead and retire. I've had a lot of friends hit me up. They're like, "Hey, man, you've been retired for a while. Are you caught up in the shutdown, or do you get your pension?" Like, "Nah, I get my pension, bro." And so it's a lot of controllers, asking. And I think a lot of them are going to go ahead and pull the trigger. Plus, they can leave still with a good medical clearance because you need a medical clearance to work in air traffic, like to work active airplanes. And they can go work for a private air traffic control company if they want to. They can go to another country if they want to. Still will be getting their pension and still making money elsewhere. So the air traffic controller shortage may get worse on the other side of this. And then for the new people coming in, a lot of folks are like, "Man, I made some serious sacrifices to take this position with Oklahoma. Then I got assigned to an airport and bam, they're not paying me. I don't know if I want to work with an organization like that." And keep in mind, man, air traffic control is hard. It's really difficult to be an air traffic controller. The easiest day was always yesterday in air traffic control. I know you hear that a lot with military guys, like the Rangers, the Marines, the Green Berets, and all that, the airborne guys. But it's true in air traffic, man. The easiest day was yesterday. You'll come in on a day thinking it's going to be a piece of cake and some craziness might jump off. It takes a certain type of individual to deal with that day in and day out. And when you're new to your career, you're the new guy, you're the FNG, and you get there and you're not getting paid. And, this work is just tremendous. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of studying. It's a lot of everything dealing with BS. You might just walk away from it. So I think that we're going to be talking about that as well. But this is the election show, man. We're going to be we're gonna be talking about. We're gonna kind of look at a couple videos from Breaking Point. Shout out to them, Don DeMarco to them.
Don DeMarco.
They do great work. They're my go-to for news. There's independent news. They cover the left and the right. They have a really good balance between Crystal and Sagar, and you get some really good conversations, and you get to see it from both sides. It's balanced. So I really like watching what they got going on over there. So we're gonna watch 2 videos from Breaking Points. This first one is just running down the information, running down the polls. Who's winning where, what the numbers say. We're gonna kind of take a peek at that, and then we're gonna jump over to my favorite part, which is will Zoran Mamdani, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I should really practice it. Mamdani looks like he's gonna win that race in New York. Will he be able to deliver? That's always been my question from day one. And Sagar and Crystal were talking about it, Sagar being center right, Crystal being center left. And we're going to definitely see what this is, what this is all about. We got Mandrill in the building. Our favorite snake eaters in the building. We also got my brother from another mother up in Canada, man. Cody is king in the building. Yeah, I'm on this stuff early, early. For me anyway. I know we don't jump on to about 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. But that's what we're going to talk about, man. So let's check out this first video. Again, this is Breaking Points. If you haven't, please do me a favor. Go over there, jump on to Breaking Points YouTube channel and subscribe and like the stuff that they have over there. I mean, they just give you a perspective that you're just not seeing, in mainstream media and stuff like that. They're not team this or team that. They're really trying to figure it out. Putting the information out there. You could tell when they talk about stuff like Gaza, Crystal is really, really on that, the genocide and what Israel is doing and America's blind support for Israel. She's really heavy on that. And, and Sagar, he gives his take on that. There might be some issues out there that, that Sagar takes to heart, which is mostly to do with healthcare, and the cost of healthcare and availability of healthcare and illegal immigration. He has his takes on those, but you could tell that those are some hot points. And when they go back and forth, it's good stuff. So we're gonna listen to what they have to say about this election, what's going on in Virginia, New Jersey, New York City. So let's get into it.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Crystal?
Indeed, we do. It is Election Day 2025. Lots of interesting races to dive into with our friend Logan Phillips. Also taking a look at the New York City mayoral race. Trump is intervening in a big way. Lots of questions about what all of this means for the future of the Democratic Party. So, of course, fascinating one to watch there. We also have some new dire warnings coming from the CEOs of Kraft Heinz and also Chipotle about consumer spending as AI increasingly dominates the economy. That will flow right into a segment on AI. Musk is saying no one's going to work in the future. Is that the future you guys are excited about? Is that in fact what's coming? We will take a look at the indications. Prince Egypt of all of his titles and some new revelations coming out there with regard to his connections to Jeffrey Epstein. And we are digging into Trump's pardon of CZ, founder of Binance. Emily and I talked about this previously, but Trump got asked about it on 60 Minutes and claims he doesn't really know anything about the guy. He doesn't have any idea what's going on. So pretty revelatory there in and of itself.
Yeah, that's right. Before we get to that, thank you to everybody who's been subscribing, BreakingPoints.com, especially on election night. It means a lot. We're going to be doing a stream later tonight, so I'm going to put that graphic up here on the screen. We will have a live coverage of the elections in Virginia, in New Jersey, and New York City. Ryan and Griffin will be on the ground there to bring us all of the exclusive stuff that they can get from the Zoran Mamdani HQ, and also just to see what the vibe is and whether he will break the coveted 50%. That is indeed the big question.
Yeah.
I think of tonight.
They'll be.
Again, I don't know much about New York politics, but it sounds like that you have to have over 50% to be the winner. And if you don't have over 50%, I think the top 2 candidates have to go into some sort of runoff. Right now, Mamdani is well ahead in the polls, double-digit lead. He's had this lead. He did not take his foot off the gas. He's been campaigning hard. And I ain't gonna lie to you. Hey, if you guys are watching this, if you're in New York, you might want to go down to Mondani headquarters, bro. It's gonna be a party. It's gonna be a party, bro. Just to get a little taste, especially if they win. I mean, there's nothing like being there, right, when it happens. I've been lucky enough to be on a couple campaigns that won, and like being there in that moment, bro, is just like winning a big game. You know, football, basketball, baseball, whatever your sport is. You know, it's you feel the excitement. It's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of great networking going on, because once it looks like you're winning, all of the big money from that area converges on that spot. All of the big money comes, all of the media comes. Everybody wants to talk. I mean, it's a great opportunity to entrench yourself as, you know, that guy or that girl. I know when I worked on campaigns, that was one of the things that kind of set me apart from everyone else. When things got hot and heavy and hectic, a lot of folks would just turn to me. Yo, Saint, can you do this? Yo, Saint, can you do that? Like, who is these people? Hey, we need to talk to, you know, this person, or we need to talk to this news team. It's like, yeah, they're over there. I would know where everyone was. I would take my time, go around, just kind of recon the whole place. Okay, ABC is sitting over there, the NBC affiliates over there, Fox affiliates over there. You got the local independent news people over there. All the print guys are over there. And when it was time to go talk, I would be the one making the connections. You know, like the campaign folks would be like, oh, we need to talk to ABC first. Like, well, they're over here, Mr. So-and-so, or this the correspondent that they sent down. Here's their name, here's their card. Follow me, I'll take you over. And they'll say, okay, well, go over there and set it up. We'll be there in 15 minutes. And I would run over there and set it up and tell the people as soon as I walk up, hey, my name is Saint. I'm working with this campaign and they want to talk to you. Oh, we want to talk to them. What time? Like, they'll be here. I'm gonna bring them right here in 15 minutes. Time now. Right? Like, time now is 1:30. I'm gonna bring them here in 15 minutes, okay? And they're like, okay. And a lot of times they'll ask, well, back then that was before like cell phones were expensive. So back then they just, okay, we'll see you. But now they'll probably ask for your info. Like, yo, can I get your social? Can I get your number? Just in case we don't connect or something changes, you can just text me. So any people out there who are looking like, that's some networking 101, some advanced stuff, actually. That's really some advanced networking. Get out there, be the guy in your account that's already gone out, map the whole room. You've done your recon. You know where everyone is, and start setting it up. That is a value add. Just want to throw that in real quick. Maybe I'll clip that and put that out there. But in politics especially. And once you do that, people don't forget. People do not forget. They start reaching out to you. They start hitting you up. Hey, can you put me in touch with this person? Hey, do you know anything about this or that? And I mean, that puts you in a really good position. That gives you a whole lot of access. And you start to, people begin to tell you things. They share information that they have with you. It's great. So if you get a chance, if you're in New York, you might want to shoot down there, or wherever you are. If there's an election going on in your town, go down to wherever the action is happening. If it's happening in that person's camp, go there. If it's happening at the Board of Elections, go there. Wherever the hot spot is, go there. And you'll see what I'm saying. And you'll see what I'm saying is true. So let's get back into it.
We're seeing other election results. Dave Weigel is going to join us. And Emily, I think, is actually going to be at a Winsome Sears
Yes. Exactly.
victory
Yeah.
party. Before we bring in our guest, Dick Cheney is dead at age, what, 83?
84.
84.
Yeah. So
that's about all we have to say about that.
yeah, just don't say.
Joined in studio today by Are Happening Today. Great to see you, Logan.
Hey, great to be here.
Good to see you, man. It's been a year.
Yeah.
Crazy year it's been.
What a
And real talk, man, I'm glitching here a little bit, guys. Sorry about that. But real talk, man, condolences to the family of Dick Cheney, former Vice President of the United States under George W. Bush. But here's the thing. I saw that and there was nothing. There was like no big stories, no nothing. It's just kind of like, yeah. And they just moved on, just kind of like what Crystal and Saga just did. Think about what you're doing in life, man. People, it's, it all, in the end, who's going to come, who's going to mourn for you in the end. And there's a lot of folks out there like, Cheney. And then with the Republicans, we'll see what the Republicans do. But yeah, that might be the way it ends for his legacy. Anyway, let's keep going.
Year, it
Yeah.
feels like it's been a decade.
In an eternity.
In my personal
Yeah.
opinion, but in any case, let's go ahead and take a listen to Harry Enten did a breakdown of the big races and where the polling stands. We can get your analysis on that.
Democrat, the key. That's really the only close one. Mikey Sherrill, the Democrat, up by 6 points. Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, up by 10. Zohran Mamdani, up by 16 points in New York City. The bottom line is this. Yes, there are ideological differences between the Democrats, but the key common component is they are all going after Donald Trump. And all the Democrats lead, from New Jersey to Virginia to New York City, they all lead the Republican and independent opponents. Look, Donald.
Yeah, I don't like that guy. He's the numbers guy. I like Kornacki. That's when I'm watching big elections, I like to watch Kornacki. I like the way he does it. This dude right here, man, he's too extra. He's too extra. And why is he extra like that? Because he's pandering to women. Women like the extra stuff. I mean, the stuff that he does is just too extra to me. I don't like the way he, reports the numbers. The numbers are the numbers. But you can see there, man, Mamdani in that New York City mayoral race, up 16 points, up double digits the whole time. So even though it's so much money, in negative ads and attack ads and so many people coming out against him, big money, established Democrats, established Republicans, it's not having any effect. It doesn't seem to be having any effect at all. Now, we have to wait and see what he gets in this election. Does he get over 50% of the vote? I think he will, but we'll have to wait and see. You know what I mean? Yeah, Darth Vader is dead. Yeah, you know what I mean? Mandrill, you're right, bro. Talking about Dick Cheney. But, we'll see. And this is definitely the people of New York City making a statement. They're tired of the traditional politicians. They're tired of the Republicans and the Democrats. They know that they're not going to get anything out of the deal. They're just going to get stepped on. And here's a dude to sidestep the gatekeeper. Here's a guy that came from out of nowhere. No one took serious. And now look at him. He was up 16 points on election day in New York. New York City, man, that's a real race. That's a real race. Yeah, you're right, Cody. That's how it works, bro. That's how it works, man. Sometimes you know what I mean? You just wait for death to come, bro. Like all the stuff you did and all that kind of stuff means nothing. You just wait. And bro, he's like, yeah, that's this. That's crazy, man. That's insulting to Darth Vader. I ain't mad at you, bro. Let's continue.
Trump is a huge, huge drag in all of these races. Look at his net popularity ratings. In Jersey, he's 11 points underwater. 15 points underwater. He's 30 points underwater. And I will note nationally in my aggregate of polls, he's about 13 points underwater. In our CNN poll, he's way below that, which looks a lot like New Jersey, a lot like Virginia. So these races, in my mind, could be huge bellwethers going into next year to understanding how Donald Trump is impacting these races. Look at what has happened when Democrats sweep New York City, New Jersey, and Virginia governor. They won the U.S. House the next year 5 out of 5 times in the last 90 years. You go all the way back to the FDR administration. So the bottom line is this. When Democrats do well in these off-year elections, when they sweep New Jersey, Virginia, and New York City, historically speaking, that means they go on to win the U.S. House of Representatives the next time around.
So reacting to that, the sort of broad national scene, is your assessment line up with Harry Enten's? Do you see Trump as being a major factor in all of these races as well?
Yeah, definitely a major factor. And he's at the low point of his popularity in his first year of the second term, which is bad timing for Republicans. That being said, where I'll disagree with Harry is how much we can take those combinations, because Virginia used to be a very red state for a big slice of those years. At times, New Jersey was a red state too. And so that combination was probably a lot more powerful in the past than it is right now.
May not have the same predictive
That's
power
a very good
now
point,
that it
actually.
used to.
Right, because Virginia's just a blue state. It's more about the question of margin. I mean, I guess New Jersey
Virginia does have a Republican governor.
Yeah,
but it's definitely swung
But
more,
even that, it's like a
become
little
more Democratic.
It's a little weird, right? I mean, okay, let's get into some of your projections. So we have A2, please. Let's put the New Jersey governor's race. To me, maybe the most interesting one. So you have Mikey Sherrill, some 92% chance of winning Chitterelli at 8% and a projected margin of victory of around 6%. I do believe the RCP polling average is only around 3%. And there's been some, Logan, that have shown some closer races, like maybe like 1% or so for Chitterelli. And, allegedly, according to some of their own internal polling, they even have a potential chance of being up by 1. And it could indeed be close. What are the dynamics of this race that make it the so-called closest race, I think, of tonight?
There's a tendency among Northeast voters in New England, but also it carries over to New Jersey, where if it's the right kind of Republican, you're going to see a lot of voters that are going to cross over. Ciarcelli, even though he's been linking with Trump a lot more this time, is a lot more moderate, and he's a really good campaigner. It's why he managed to do so well last time and overperform expectations. So Ciarcelli's probably putting a race in play that with a weaker Republican, especially one that might have been more closely linked to Donald Trump's brand, it might not be in play at all. But it's still just really tough to win a blue-leaning state, even if it's gotten more competitive lately, in a midterm with a Republican president, especially one that's unpopular.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put up the A3 guys. If you have just the New Jersey ones, or we can cycle through all of them. But these are the Polymarket odds of, for each of these races. New York City mayoral race, Zoran is at 91%.
When you look at these odds, man, like odds makers are really good at what they do. You got the pollers and all like it, these odds makers. It's kind of like when Vegas sets the odds on these games. Even though now we know that, especially in the NBA, there's a lot of point shaving and stuff that's going on there. But Vegas is really close when they set these odds, bro. Like they have all this information. You look at this graph, and Zoran is in, the orange. I mean, you look at that, bro. Like, look where he is compared to Cuomo, right? I mean, Cuomo's is the next closest, candidate to him. I mean, that's insane, bro. That's insane. So I will be shocked if Zoran Mamdani does not win this race. I'll be really shocked, and people will, that's when you want to start the question. Like, he definitely has the momentum of the people. You look at what Trump is doing, what his administration is doing. The Trump administration is doing no favors to the Republicans. MAGA's off the rails, whatever. So this could be a peak of things to come when you're talking about the midterm elections next year. Donald Trump's brand is really tainted, and he, what he's doing is really hurting Americans. I mean, right now, if you're Argentinian, you're happy, right? Trump just sent them $40 billion. But if you're an American farmer or an American cattleman, you're not happy at all because Trump is helping your competitors. All the money is going there. This is a problem. This is a problem that Trump's not going to be able to get around. Like, Trump's real transparent. If you got enough money to pay him, he'll get you out of jail. You got enough money to pay him. He'll, through executive order, enact whatever law you paying him for. Like this dude is just, he's oblivious to what he's doing. To me, it makes complete sense. Trump is just making as much money as he can. It is what it is. Now American people get to see it. And the poor folks, which, the bottom 99 are like, hey, man, we want something. We trying to get a little something out of this. Like, damn, can we at least get some food stamps? Like, you can't even get that. Right. So they're going to come out and they're going to vote their pocketbook. They're going to vote their emotions. They're upset. And throughout all this, the Democrat brand is still polling low. Like the Democratic brand is still bad, but you only got two parties to vote for. So the Democrats are going to get these votes. And remember, the Democrats tried to get rid of Zoran Mamdani. So this is some crazy, crazy stuff, bro. I definitely see issues for Republicans, especially MAGA, for this upcoming midterm. And I mean, I don't care how much money they spend. They're going to have some problems. There's a lot of MAGA folks, man. It's a lot of MAGA vets. There's a lot of MAGA trailer park folks. There's a lot of poor white people who voted for MAGA and Trump, thinking that their life was going to get better, and their lives only got worse. And it doesn't look like there's any help on the way. So these hardcore MAGA people, they won't vote for Democrats, but they won't vote at all. And that hurts the Republicans. So we'll see. We'll see.
Go to Jersey.
Personally think Cuomo is probably a little overrated at 9% at this point, but we'll see. Put the next one up on the screen. We've got Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, basically a lock, 99% chance, according to Polymarket. And then the last one here, New Jersey. Mikey Sherrill, though, I mean, even though we've had polling that's pretty close, and Republicans seem to feel at least somewhat bullish on this race, she's still got an 87% chance of victory, according to Polymarket anyway, and according to what the odds are. So what are people seeing that are making them feel so confident that she's likely to prevail ultimately?
Yeah, well, I think part of it's just the history of the state. There's only been one time in like the last 30, 40, 50 years where it didn't vote against the party that was in power. Again, so New Jersey and Virginia just have this strong tendency. And it just doesn't feel like with Donald Trump, who is such a polarizing president at such a polarizing time, that this is the time when New Jersey is going to break away from that pattern.
That makes sense. I think that broadly just seems to be the general bet. And so, like you said, with the margins, I think here are more what's interesting. Let's put your Virginia prediction, the 2025 Virginia gubernatorial race. You have from your own polling model. Here we have some 98.7% chance, according to your model, of a Spanberger win, with a 1.3% chance of Winsome Sears. I guess the more interesting question then is the projected margin of victory. Your projected lead is some 10.1%. How would that align historically? Is that a blowout in historical terms for the gubernatorial race? I guess the similar one that we could compare to is 2017, the Ed Gillespie race, I think with, what was it, Ralph Northam, right? And that was kind of a precursor to the 2018 Democratic victory. What do you think?
Yeah, well, there's contrast between New Jersey, right? In New Jersey, you have two candidates that look highly competent that both parties are investing heavily in. I think Republicans feel that their odds in in Virginia are kind of a long shot. The candidate that's been pretty unpopular, it's been tarnished by her past statements and aggressive ads. The Democrats heavily out fundraising here. And honestly, above all else, I think what made Virginia so hard for Republicans to win is there have been so many jobs that have been lost in Virginia that if you're in Northern Virginia, either you lost your job, one of your friends lost your job, or one of your friends' friends lost your job, right? And so
right now, probably 15, 20 people who are furloughed.
Exactly.
Yeah, the shutdown does not help.
The shutdown is not good, I think, for the Northern Virginians.
Yeah, so that's not going to affect the mindset of everyone in the state, but it's going to heavily affect a huge part of the state that has a very large population, places where Glenn Youngkin did much better than expected 4 years ago. And so they're going to swing hard likely back in the other direction.
That's very true. I think it's an important point. So like where I live in Alexandria, Virginia, Glenn Youngkin won like 30% of the vote there, which I know it's not a lot, but for us, that's crazy, right? It's absolutely crazy. This time around, you don't see anything. I remember the Youngkin election. You actually saw Youngkin signs. I haven't seen any Winsome Sears signs, nothing. Spanberger ads are everywhere, absolutely blanketing the entire area, similarly to kind of what you're saying. So what margin of victory would be an overperformance, you think, for Abigail Spanberger today?
My thing is, I don't know that area. They're talking about that DC, Virginia, Maryland metro area. And they're talking about the Virginia gubernatorial race. So I can say 2025, but I think you meant 2026. And the graphic said 2026. But hey, man, when Doge came about and what's going on with this government shutdown, that's it. If you're a Republican, you got such a steep climb to win the hearts and minds in that area, you might as well just forget about it. Why put money into it? As long as, it's not going to happen. The timing is just off. So I can see that. And, this should be a time where, Democrats should clean it up across the board. But again, the Democratic brand is so unlikable. It's crazy. This is what happens when you have no leadership or you have the wrong people in charge. You're looking at Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. These dudes are just horrible. And the Democratic Party needs to step up. They need to step up. You got this Zoran Mondani guy. You got, Jasmine Crockett. You got AOC out there. Why aren't these, at least the more established ones, AOC, Jasmine, why aren't they being pushed up into leadership roles? What's going on behind the scenes with the Democrats? And then every major election comes around and Democrats are in this tight race and they lose to people like Donald Trump and they sit there and they scratch their heads. And it's like, they got to figure that part out. Right. The reason the Republicans and MAGA is doing so poorly is because Trump is just decimating the American people. That's the only reason that they're doing so poorly. And you might even have Republicans and MAGA folks and Trumpers actually voting for Democrats because they want to start getting their money back. Like, bro, I want my job. I need my pension. I need not my pension, but I need my benefits, because the Republicans are, again, attacking healthcare. They want to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, but they have nothing to replace it, right? And they couldn't get rid of it traditionally. So what did they do? They voted for the big, beautiful bill. And what happened? Premiums went up and it's basically unaffordable. So no one can afford it. Therefore, no one's going to use it. It's going to fall apart. This is what the Republicans are doing. and they can't even answer for it. Meanwhile, like I said, you're going to send off, fight wars with Venezuela for we don't even know why. You're going to support Ukraine. Okay, maybe I can get behind that, but now we need more of that money coming to America as opposed to going overseas. You see what's going on in the Middle East. Right? What's going on with China? Trump went over there and made some deals. Y'all remember that 90 deals in 90 days thing? Like it's so much going on. You got the mass ICE agents going around here. That's an issue that's just waiting to happen at some point. Someone's gonna do something. It's gonna be ugly with this, these mass guys running around talking about their ICE, snatching up people, kids, snatching up people, wives, running into houses and businesses. It's just a matter of time before that gets loud. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. I feel you, Kobe, about what you said about the Patriots thing. Yeah, you get these American folks feeling betrayed. They thought that they knew what they had, what they were voting for, and they didn't. Question becomes, what are they going to do about it? You know what I mean? Yeah, he's like, of course they're going to vote Dems if they feel betrayed. We know a lot of the hardcore people just won't vote Democrat. That's something that people are going to watch. If you get a lot of Republicans voting Democrat, that's major, bro. That's like huge, especially like conservative hardcore Republicans. That's huge if they vote Democrat, but you got to vote your wallet. You know what I mean? Yeah, and just like you had the Dems voting for Trump, I think you see Democrats voting Republican more often than you see Republicans voting for Democrats. Like I said, especially the hardcore Republicans, but we're going to see. We're going to see. Let's continue.
Okay, so you have her at 10%. But what would send a statement?
She needs to win by like 14 plus.
Yeah.
I think would be a big statement win.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I was looking it up. Ralph Northam won by roughly, it was like just under 10, I think.
Yeah.
And so people are looking at that as kind of like a marker. If she's able to beat that, that would be the strongest performance for a Democrat in kind of like recent years. So I think that's what a lot of people are looking at. What about down ballot in Virginia? I know the Attorney General has been embroiled in controversy because of these violent text messages that were released. That seems to be the race, at least the statewide race, that's the closest. What do you see for the Lieutenant Governor and the Attorney General races here?
Yeah, that's going to be decided probably by the reluctant Jay Jones Democratic voters, the ones who desperately don't want to vote for someone that says the things that he says, but also desperately don't want a Republican as Attorney General. Some of those voters will probably leave the ballot blank. Some of them will cross over. I suspect most of them will end up voting for Jay Jones. And I think this is part of being in such a polarized time that it's very easy to find an excuse to vote for someone that maybe isn't the best person to be
that
in
maybe you're not
office.
in love with, but partisan feeling trumps whatever concerns you may have about that individual. Let's put A7 up on the screen. This is a map of the early turnout in Virginia thus far.
All right, so they're gonna continue to deep dive into all of the big areas in this election. They haven't talked about California. I'm pretty sure that's going to come up later. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to jump over here. They did another video, which the next section in this episode of Breaking Points, talking about the Dems. And here, Crystal and Sagar debate, can Zoran Mamdani actually succeed? This is the conversation that I really want to listen to and kind of have. Like, all politicians promise the world, we get that. But can you actually, fulfill your promises? Will the electorate forgive you if you fail? And if they do forgive you for failing, why? You know what I mean? Because, Zoran Mamdani, man, he's set some lofty goals, bro, for the city of New York. He's promising to make New York affordable, man. I just don't know how he's going to do that. He says, he's going to be able to freeze rent increases and provide more affordable housing. Okay. And he has a plan. Unlike other politicians just say we're going to do this, he actually has a plan on how he believes he can make this happen. Okay, is it feasible? I mean, it sounds good. Right? Then you look at the, going to provide a government-run grocery store in each borough, a city-run grocery store that's going to have reduced, because I looked, at first I was thinking like he's going to provide like free food. That's not going to work. What it is just reduced cost, like, cheap food. I don't want to use the word cheap to think they're just, throwing in their slop, but basically his idea is if the city runs these 5 grocery stores, they'll be able to put, products in there and put them at the lowest price possible because the stores won't be in business for profit. So whatever they get, they can offer to the city at the citizens of New York at cost. Okay, I don't know how that's going to work, but okay. But again, that's a lofty goal. Universal child care for the whole city. Where's that money going to come from? That's a lofty goal. What else are we talking about? He's talking about making the buses run faster and making all of the buses in New York City free. Okay, so those 5 things right there. Of those 5 things, I think the buses would be the one that he could do first. Like, all right, we can at least let the buses run faster. And he's talking about free, so maybe they can implement some programs where during certain times it doesn't cost anything to ride the bus, maybe on certain days, which they're already doing, I think, and then expand from there. But that's going to take more than one term, I would think. I would imagine a couple years minimum, right, to do something like that. And I think the buses, I think that campaign promise is the one promise that he can kind of knock out right away. And then the money to do all these things is going to come from the richest New Yorkers. He wants to implement a 2% tax increase on the top 1% of earners in New York. So he wants to add 2% to their taxes and use that money to implement these programs. Again, it all sounds good, right? It sounds great, but I don't know how he's going to be able to pull that off. And I'm assuming he only gets 4 years as mayor. You know what I mean? Because, but again, how patient will the people be with him? The people see him as a political outsider. He's not part of the entrenched establishment. The business folks know that they're going to have to cough up some money with this guy. They can't buy this guy. So as long as the people of New York see that he's trying, and again, little things start to happen, like, okay, we couldn't get a full-blown grocery store, but we got a bodega. And in these, city-run bodegas, you can go in and get stuff at cost. If he could just do that within the first 2 years as he continues to grow, continue to move towards the grocery store level, maybe that'll buy him some time. People aren't going to give you so much time before they get upset, right? So that's what I'm wondering. I'm kind of running on here at the mouth, but I'm just trying to figure out what can he get done. So I'm eager to hear Crystal and Saagar debate this. Of course, Crystal's going to be, she's going to have the pro-left take, and she's going to be like, yeah, this could all be done. And then Saagar's going to be like, I don't see how. The pro-right take, like, how are you going to pay for all this? That 2% on the wealthiest New Yorkers can't be enough to cover all this. Trump is going to withhold funding from the federal government. What are you going to do about that? You need the governor. You need Albany to be on board with what you're doing. What are the other city mayors are going to do about this and how they're going to act? I mean, it's a lot of questions, man. A whole lot of questions to ask. It is what it is. I got Cody. Cody's right about that. Basically, what he's saying there. I agree with Cody on that. And see, man, just the same thing. Like, where's the money going to come from? Also, how do you make the people who are getting kickbacks from that well? Yeah, from that hole. Yeah, you're right about that. There's so much of the kickback stuff. So many people on the take. The only reason they do it is because of these kickbacks. Because you're taking money out of their pockets too. Great point. So let's listen to what Saagar and Crystal have to say about all this. Here we go. My bad, guys. I forgot to pull it up so you can see it. My bad. All right, here we go. Can Zoran actually succeed? This is what they're talking about. This is also in the description below, guys, if you want to watch this. We're not going to watch the whole thing, this whole segment, but you guys should definitely check out this whole episode on Breaking Points.
Campaign while Andrew Cuomo was threatening New Yorkers. Here you have Zoran walking across the Brooklyn Bridge and, out of the clubs, dancing with everybody and being out and about with taxi drivers and really just trying to be, in the streets with the people. At the same time, you had Hakeem Jeffries, continuing to be asked about Zoran and whether he sees him as the future of the party. Hakeem endorse Zoran in this race and get behind him. And take a listen to what Hakeem Jeffries had to say. This is B2 about Zoran and the future of the party.
Do you see Mamdani as the future of the Democratic Party?
No, I think the future of the Democratic Party is going to fall, as far as we're concerned, relative to the House Democratic Caucus and members who are doing a great work all across the country as it relates to our need to both take back control of the House, But in doing so, make sure that we're communicating to the American people like we understand you deserve better than the country that you have received.
This guy.
This dude can't speak at all, bro. I mean, this dude can't speak at all. This is if you are the leader of something, bro, you have to be able to weave your words into something. You have to be able to present, confidence. This guy doesn't seem confident to me. The guy doesn't know what to say. Like, maybe he's one of those dudes that's just behind the scenes guy. He's a great number 2 guy. There's no way he should be number 1. No way he should be number 1, man. Every time he talks, it's like nails on the chalkboard, bro. And he didn't say shit. He's not even good at double talk, bro. His word salad is just horrible. It's just horrible. Right? You don't like Mondani to say, hey, man, I wasn't really on this Team Mondani thing, but man, he's running a hell of a campaign. And he's, looks like he's going to be the next mayor of New York City, and he earned it. And I would love to sit down and work with him and do whatever I can to help him be successful. Because if he's successful, then the people in New York City are successful. Something like that. Hell, I'm not even in the business, and I've just rattled that off the top of my damn head. We got brother Paul Bennett in the building, man. Thank you so much, bro, for the $2 super chat. I am feeling better. Man. I did my last reading. My blood pressure was 134 over 87, 84, something like that. Which to me, that's one of the lowest readings I've had in over a month. So I'm doing better, but still this is going to be a challenge. I'm gonna have to continue to work on my diet. I have to get out here and stay active and do some more stuff, man. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. Every penny counts, man. And I appreciate that $2, bro. Times are hard out here. And if someone can, shoot me $2 to support this platform, man, I really do appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much. I don't take any dime for granted, bro. It's tough out here, man. I mean, normally when I'm out driving around and I see like homeless folks, I don't normally give money. I don't. But man, I started to start giving dollars and dropping quarters or whatever, because I know it's really hard out here, bro. I mean, not only, when federal money dries up, the people who are out there in the streets, they have less resources. They can't go get a free meal. They can't go get shelter from the storm or whatever, from the rain or the cold, because those places rely heavily on federal money and they shut down. So it becomes really hard, man. And, I'm not the most religious person, man, but I think that we should do what we can. I know times are tough for me. I got to really do some belt tightening, but, I can still take a few dollars a week and, help out some people who are definitely less fortunate than me. And the people I help out are the ones I see on the spot. Like, there's a guy on this one particular corner I see him every single day, bro. He's out there doing his thing. And, I've had conversations with the guy. Like, he doesn't seem like he has any addiction issues or anything like that. It's just, he's like, bro, I got caught up, bro, and I lost my home and I lost this and I lost that. And so when I see something like that, man, here's a couple bucks, here's $5, man. Hopefully he'll be able to go get him some water or go get whatever he needs. So, man, I truly appreciate it. I know, man, I right now, especially, bro, anyone who sends me a donation, I truly appreciate it, man. So, but let's get back to this. Let's hear what Crystal has to say about Hakeem Jeffries. She is not a fan. Just a heads up. Spoiler alert.
It's just so lame. He's just so bad at this.
Yeah, but the sad thing is he's going to be the major beneficiary of a lot of this, because it'll look like, unless there's some anti-Hakeem Jeffries movement in the House of Representatives amongst the Democrats, and they actually would pick a new leader, which I honestly think that they should. I don't think they will, though. He unfortunately does. I think he's going to get away with this. I don't know if Schumer will, because he could have a primary challenge against him, and he may not run again for re-election. I mean, there's no organic movement against him, and I think he's going to get it with it.
You don't think there's an organic movement against him?
Sorry about all the glitching, guys. StreamYard is running really slow. It could be my computer, but I think right now it's StreamYard. But I do have some stuff running in the background, so that could be slowing things down a little bit. So I do apologize for the lag.
Against Hakeem Jeffries?
Yeah, there definitely is.
No,
I mean, he may even have a primary challenge against him for his own seat in the House.
Well, I was talking about in the House caucus right now. There's not a single organized like anti-Jeffries movement. Obviously, look, you're right.
Yeah.
Things can change.
I mean, I think is very disappointed with him. And I think there will be a lot of pressure on Democrats to choose someone different for leadership. And you'll also have these primaries playing out where I do think some incumbents will probably, you know, I think you're going to have some Dem Tea Party vibes and some incumbents taken out and new renegades coming in who will be like, absolutely not. Am I voting for Hakeem Jeffries or in the Senate? Am I going to vote for, you know, Chuck Schumer?
I hope to see it. I would love to see it.
I do think that his position, both as a member of Congress, but also as leader of the Democratic Party, given how lame he's been and how trashed the Democratic brand is and how disgusted the Democratic base is with him and, you know, how poorly he's been able to stand up in Trump 2.0, I definitely think that his, not that there's any guarantees, but I definitely think that his leadership is at risk here. And the way he's played the Zoran thing has been pathetic. And I mean, that actually in and of itself tells you something about his concerns, because part of why he didn't want to endorse Zoran appears to have been that he wanted to get a guarantee from Zoran that he would not back a primary challenger to Hakeem Jeffries. And as far as we know, he never secured that commitment from Zoran, but it tells you he's looking over his shoulder, you know, towards the left of the party too, and worried that he could be taken out in a primary challenge, which I do think is a distinct possibility. Abigail Spanberger was also asked about Zoran, and, you know, Spanberger is the consummate, like, centrist national security Dem of Rahm Emanuel's dreams, former CIA, blah, blah, blah. You know, after Trump gets elected, she did a lot of like, oh, this is all the left's fault. So we can put this next element up on the screen to see her reaction. So Ken Klippenstein tweeted this out and said, Abigail Spanberger takes a swipe at Mamdani. When she got asked about him and his impact, she said maybe he should be a Democrat, which I don't even know what she means by that. Like he literally won the Democratic primary. So, lady, what are you talking about? In any case, acknowledging when pressed that Mamdani is in fact the Democratic nominee, Spanberger said that for all the talk, including from within the DSA itself, about the DSA's growing power, she doesn't see democratic socialism on the rise. She argues there's a level of dishonesty in some of the big promises Mamdani is making that she's worries could hurt Democrats with voters long term, saying the reason she doesn't have a Mamdani-style proposal for government-run grocery stores is because I couldn't ever pass it. People do want us to be aspirational and dream big. They also don't want us to lie to them, she told CNN. When you have a party that makes promise after promise and then say, oh, we pass it in the House, it's not our fault. Vulnerable people believed you. Maybe he's going to get Albany on board with totally refinancing public transportation, but there's a lot of people who believe him. And so, I mean, this is
right, kind of like what I was talking about here. Like he has some lofty goals, how he's going to do this, how he's going to do that. I think the powers to be, Republicans and Democrats alike, I think they want to see Mamdani fail. They don't want him to succeed, because if he does succeed in New York, American people throughout the nation are going to demand changes. They're going to demand more, right? And everything he's talking about doing could be done, and it wouldn't cost a lot of money. When they harp on this thing, they call him a socialist. All right, cool. He's a democratic socialist, he's a socialist, whatever. But aren't the Republicans running a corporate a socialist corporate thing, right? You look at all the corporate welfare. Like I'm currently reading Too Big to Fail, right? Andrew Ross Sorkin wrote this book. HBO did a movie based on this book. The book is massive, bro. It's the size of the Bible, bro. But it breaks down in meticulous detail everything that happened with that run up to the 2008 housing crash. Right. And within the first few pages of that book, bro, he's talking about all of the companies, all of the banks that should have gone under that didn't. Right. And this was the book starts with it starts from the perspective of Jamie Dimon. So the book starts with Jamie Dimon and him talking to his folks and, you know, say, hey, let's make sure city is right. Let's so we got he was with JP Morgan Chase, I think, at the time. Like, let's make sure that JP Morgan Chase is right. And he was talking about all these other investment banks and other banks, these institutions that were going to go under. You know, so, and they didn't. Why? Because they took taxpayer money to bail out these businesses. I mean, isn't that a form of socialism? It's the worst form of socialism because the people didn't get anything back for that money. But the politicians and all the other folks, to Mandrell's point, got all kind of kickbacks. So it's profitable for them. And then people say, well, if we didn't do that, the country would have collapsed. Would it? Would it have collapsed? This is a form of socialism that everyone seems to be okay with. All the politicians are okay with. Why? Because the 1% pays them. Right. So if you get someone like Zoran Mamdani that comes out here and can actually deliver on what he's talking about, more Americans throughout the country are going to demand more from their politicians, from the government. That's what I think. And that's why I'm really watching this thing. I really want to see if he can pull this off. And of the, let's say that Zoran has maybe 10 really big things that he wants to do in this administration. If he gets 5 of those things done, one of them being universal child care, if he could pull that off, make the buses faster, make the buses free, and maybe do that grocery store thing, 4 things. If he gets those 4 things done, I think he's guaranteed himself a second term. And then people will want to see what could he do in his second term. Right? That's my thing. That's my take on it, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Let's continue.
Kind of standard centrist ideology of like, well, big things aren't possible, so we as a country to the system, like the way things are. They don't want you to just like manage the status quo and take around the edges. Even if you feel like it's going to be a difficult fight or it may even be impossible, you have to at least offer people some sort of aspirational vision for how you're going to do more than just, you know, the like palliative care and manage the decline of the empire at this point.
Part of the fight, which I think is always biological, is not all Democrats to be the same. A Democrat who's going to win the Northern Virginia electorate should not look like Zoran Mamdani. And Zoran Mamdani or the New York City Democrat should obviously not be the person who is going to be running, let's say, in the Midwest, right? That's why not all of these people can or should be the same. That's the entire point of living in a diverse and very different country locally. You can nationally stand for semi sort of principles. On the point about like promising things, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I'm seeing a lot of hopium that's being drank by, I think, a lot of the progressive left. And I do think they're in for a rude awakening. I mean, the vast reality is that he does not have the significant amount of power to enact the most, you know, the biggest promises of his campaign. Like even in terms of freezing the rent, you know, part of the cope is always like, well, he's not going to freeze it for everybody. It's just going to be on rent controlled apartments. It's like, yeah, well, unfortunately, because you don't, I mean, the system of New York is so governed by all of these various different councils, neighborhoods, and other like, you know, NIMBY style stuff that's built into it, that the net result is probably going to be some sort of, you know, organic market increase in the rent. I don't even think it's necessarily his fault. The rent's been going up for every single year, you know, since that happened. But that's, you know, I don't think it's particularly a good look. Same, I mean, free buses and MTA, the vast majority of the funding from that comes from Albany and the upstate. Like, you know, why would they necessarily want to play ball? The feds are saying that they're going to cut the amount of city services to you. Like the truth is I think that the mayor in New York has the absolute most control, and even then, not a ton when it comes to crime. That's basically it. And, you know, in a lot of ways, like Eric Adams most well understood the job because it was schools, and it was also kind of just being like a hype man for New York. Like, I'm not saying he's a good person, but like that's all he really focused his time doing, was being a commercial salesman for the city. But yeah, I mean, I kind of think
I don't think New Yorkers would say he understood the job, since he ended with the lowest approval rating of any mayor in history.
Sure, but whenever it comes to like what do you actually have power over, picking up trash and crime policy, like that's basically it. Like you don't have, and schools, okay, I'll give him that. Which, by the way, Zoran wants to do away with some gifted and talented schools. So
I think the bet is that, like, you got a taste of the strategy when Hochul had to bend the knee to Zoran and came to his rally and was met with chants of tax the rich. And Hochul is facing a primary.
But she's the person who could actually do that.
Hochul is facing a primary challenger from the left.
Yeah.
So that's where the, you know, the hope that you can actually push Albany to enact the policies that, yes, Zoran would need and able to deliver. Now, some of the things, I mean, the grocery stores, he will be able to deliver on. He's actually already identified the funding.
Right?
The rent freeze
Yeah.
is, something that, like, through the rent stabilization board, he should accomplish. Now they're trying to stack the board with opponents of it, et cetera. But I mean, that is something else that is within the power of the New York City mayor, has been done in the past, and should be something that he can accomplish. The childcare is probably the biggest and most challenging one. That does require action from Albany. And so, yeah, that's part of why what happens in the election tonight. Look, Zoran looks very certain to win, but his margin and how strong of a victory, that's where those things start to matter. Because he needs not only to win, he needs to send a message that I have a powerful coalition behind me. And you, Kathy Hochul, are put on notice that if you don't tax the rich and bend to our program, then you're going to face political challenges.
We'll see.
And that's,
it's a big
we
state.
just talked about, like, Hakeem Jeffries worrying. Very likely Richie Torres is going to face a primary challenger. Dan Goldman, who's another one who wouldn't get behind Zoran, that guy, Brad Lander, is going to challenge him probably, and he's going to have a very difficult time.
I would love to see Mr. Levi Strauss-Ford.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And, the question there is only whether you have two progressives that split the vote. But I think if you get just Brad Lander in against him, he's basically toast. So those all send a real, very strong message to cynical political actors that you'd better work with these people and not be the roadblock to their ambitions. That's where the bet is.
Yeah, I agree with Crystal on this. Dude might come in with the quote unquote the mandate from the people of New York. And like I said, if he can come through on, 3 or 4 of these promises, these campaign promises, bro, I think he remains a superstar in New York. Brother Dino Dinosaurs in the building. What's good, fam? Checking in from the UK, man. Appreciate you, man. Bro, you're right. That you were talking about the debates. You know what I mean? I still haven't watched the entire debates, bro, but I did watch a little bit. I did watch some clips first, but I want to go back and watch the whole thing. Here's the thing. Cuomo did have a couple moments when he was able to get that clippable moment, that zinger in there. You know what I'm saying? True. But it didn't get any traction. Andrew Cuomo is an extremely unlikable politician in New York. Like, leaving the governor's house like he did. They look at his record, like what happened during the pandemic. He got in all sorts of trouble with being handsy, and it's like, oh, he's just too Italian. Like, bro, he was, grabbing booty cheeks or whatever they accused him of doing, allegedly, right? He had a lot of people who just didn't like him. The older folks and the entrenched Democrats in New York are voting for Cuomo because they don't like the fact that Zoran is either too young, or they don't like the fact that they're like the socialist thing, or a lot of them people we don't like the fact because we can't get him to bend the knee. Like a lot of what Crystal was just saying. We can't get this dude to bend the knee. We can't get this dude to pledge allegiance to our side. Like, this guy's like an unrestricted free agent. He's doing his own thing. He got around the gatekeepers. He has the people behind him. So I'm curious to see, but like that, yeah, Cuomo got a couple zings in the debate, but none of it got traction. None of it got traction. So, that's going to be that's a good thing for Zoran Mamdani. He gets to go in there and do what he's going to do and try to bring some relief to the people in New York. And like I said, if he can pull this off, just a few of those things, if there are 10 big things out there that he wants to do, if he can get 3 or 4 of them done in his first term, I think that guarantees him a second term. What Sagar was talking about with the police, I think he's going to have a good relationship with law enforcement. Not a whole lot of talk about education. Sagar touched on something there that I'm not aware of. I guess Zoran wanted to do some stuff within the educational system there in New York. I'm not sure what it is. I'm gonna have to look into that, but that hasn't been getting any traction. The big traction is like Crystal was saying, if he can figure out how to do that universal child care, bro, you know how much money that saves the average person? You know how much money child care is in America, bro? It's like buying a car, right? It's more than a car note. I was paying upwards of $500-600 a week at some points when I was, paying for childcare in LA. And luckily I had a really good career, but damn, bro, that's a lot of money, man. Right? You're looking at almost a couple, and at some points, because we had to move around a lot. At some points I had to pay, a couple $1,000s a month just in childcare, bro. Of course, you get your child in one spot and then you find another good spot, and then it's like, okay, this place over here is like 50% less, but I'm still paying like $1,000. Right? And then you try to find some programs that maybe you can get your child in, will save you a bunch of money. I didn't qualify for any programs, but my my daughter's mom did. So I had it, hey, sign up for this, sign up for this. And then if she could get in there, we wound up getting a program where we were paying $170 a week. We was able to get into a program. It was a good school, some sort of voucher system in LA. We were paying $150, $170 a week. That's still a lot of money. But bro, I was happy to pay that because that $2,000 a month was hurting, bro. $500 a week. We got that down to $170. So could you imagine like what some of these New Yorkers are paying and to get universal child care? I mean, that just frees up a lot of money so you can, put that towards housing, or put that towards medical expenses, like, to get your insurance or whatever. So yeah, man. Let's see. As Mayor Zohan's rent control can only apply to 1/3 of New York rentals. It's been tried by New York Mayor Bill de Blasio and it didn't work. Yeah, but think about it. The thing on the rent control and more affordable housing, those two things, if he comes through and reinstates that Bill de Blasio thing, right? So, all right, 1/3 of New Yorkers get some benefit from that. All right, cool. But those are going to be the people at the bottom of the financial spectrum. That's going to, that's going to win him some points. And then, if he's freezing, like if he's doing some sort of rent stabilization or whatever, if he's doing that, then, they're going to call that a win. If he does that, they'll be able to call that a win. So there will be people like, damn, I want to be able to take advantage of that. But people will also say, well, look, he's doing something, and then maybe try to make it better. Again, I don't live in New York. I've never lived in New York. I would never live in New York, bro. I don't like the city like that. But the people who live there, they're like, bro, they are really excited about this guy. And I think the reason they're so excited about this guy is because they're so tired of losing out to the 1%, right? That wealth gap in New York City is crazy, bro. It's crazy, bro. Like when you go, Park Avenue, on one part of Park Avenue, it looks one way. The other side of Park Avenue looks completely different. It's like two different worlds. And people are tired of that. They want to do something to bridge that gap, and kind of bring it back. So we'll see. I don't know if he's going to be successful. I don't know if he's going to be successful. And the key is, how much time will the city of New York give him to make some changes and to make good on these promises? Seeing Cuomo wants 5,000 new police officers. Zoran wants to defund the police. Nah, they talk to him about defunding the police. He doesn't want to defund the police. The one thing, and again, Cuomo's put this out there and it's not sticking. But what is sticking, where Zoran is getting traction as far as his police thing, is he wants to take away and give help to police officers dealing with mental health issues and things outside of crime. So he's gotten traction on that. And again, Zoran Mamdani comes in with some really good plans, stuff that could work. Now, that's like, everyone has a plan, right? The captain of the Titanic had a plan. You feel me? Didn't go too well. And that's what I'm talking about. Will his plans work for him and the people of New York? But what he wants to do is, instead of sending out law enforcement to deal with mental health issues with, someone with a homeless person or somebody who's crazy, they send cops. And a lot of times when you send cops to do that, someone gets hurt. And what he wants to do is, instead of sending cops, he wants to have a department where people are trained to handle mental health crises and send them, and maybe use the police officers to back them up. Again, good idea, great idea. Will it work? Don't know. Who's going to pay for it and how much is it going to cost? That's what it boils down to. So if you look at 5,000 new police officers, okay, instead of 5,000 new police officers, if you add 5,000 mental health workers who are trained to go, and they can go out and handle these calls, would that make policing easier for, the men and women in blue? That becomes the question. And it's kind of like, okay, it's the same amount of money. We're just going to use it differently, kind of thing. Like how many, what Mamdani wants to do is actually have one grocery store in each borough. Again, very ambitious. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. If they opened up a city-run grocery store here in Tampa, I would go there. I would go there and get as much discounted stuff as I possibly could. I would go there to get milk. I would go there to get eggs and bread and produce. And if I can go get that stuff and save 40% on my grocery shopping, bro, that's what I would do. Will that in turn hurt the existing grocery stores? Probably, because all those people are going to go to the city-run store, and then the city-run store is going to have trouble keeping stuff on the shelves. So then it becomes, okay, who's allowed to go into the discounted grocery stores? Like, okay, do you have to, get a special ID card from the city because, you're income restricted or whatever? Like, you're at the poverty line or whatever. And then once you have that card, you can go into the grocery store and get the deal. Are they going to do something like that? I don't know. Again, he got some good plans, but I'm with you. I'm real skeptical. It's like, can he pull it off? Can he pull it off? And like the new police officers, politicians are always talking about, we want to be tough on crime. We want more cops. They put more cops out there. Cops are poorly trained. Cops are out there doing stuff, and they get themselves in trouble. And the city winds up paying millions, hundreds of millions of dollars out because the police officers are poorly trained. I think New York and LA have some of the best trained police officers in our country. But 5,000 new police officers might not be the answer. Maybe they can get 5,000 healthcare providers, train them, and that might help out. I don't know. Like, we'll see. But again, none of the stuff that Cuomo's talking about has gotten traction in New York. That guy's tainted. They just, maybe if they had a better politician to go up against, Mondani, maybe the race would have been tighter. And I'm pretty sure there are Democrats out there that could have, been a better choice to go up against this guy, but they're probably all young. Right. And it was like, they don't want the young people out there. They want the old established people that they know they can count on. Yeah. So what Zorhan wants to do, and again, I'm not an expert on New York, but what Zorhan wants to do, he wants to have one city-run grocery store in each borough. He got 5 boroughs in New York. All the other grocery stores are going to still be there. Everything's going on, but he wants to have one city-run grocery store in every borough. And the intent of this is to provide affordable food for the people who live in the boroughs, mostly the people who are lower income. Because I guess the way it is now to go to if you live in certain neighborhoods, certain boroughs, you have to travel far to get to a decent grocery store to get to a grocery store at all. You've heard the term food desert. I guess there are a bunch of food deserts in New York in these boroughs. So what he wants to do is bring in, these grocery stores that are city run and one in each borough. And that's an attempt to get affordable food to the people in these boroughs. Do I know if it's going to work? I don't know. And again, this isn't designed for everyone. This is designed to help the people who are struggling financially, like the lower end of the spectrum. And we'll see, because we're going to trust and believe, man. It looks like Zoran Mondani is going to win this race. I am definitely going to keep up with what's going on. I got friends in New York. I'm going to ask him once he gets in, like, hey, what's going on? There's going to be people who like Mondani, people who don't. I'll say, hey, what's going on with this? Are they doing that? Like, how's this working? I probably subscribe to the New York Times so I can read what's going on. I'm really curious to see if this could work, bro. I am really curious to see if this can work. Let's get back to the Crystal and Sackett.
Now, is it easy no, of course it's not easy. It's incredible. It's what he signed up for is incredibly difficult. I think your point about Trump in some ways, like kind of bailing him out and giving him excuses for, things that won't go, because there will be things that don't go the way he wants them to go. There's no doubt about that. And so having a narrative about why it hasn't lived up to the aspirational promises that are being, put out there on the campaign trail, I think that will be actually significant benefit to him as well, and is a good point.
Well, that's part of what's annoying is like I don't think this guy's going to succeed. I mean, I hate to piss in everybody's cornflakes, but like New York State's legislature has a total authority to raise taxes. Also, this is part of the thing. I have a very limited experience with the state of New York, but as I understand it, the tension between upstate and the city is like the central thing in Albany, and in particular the New York State legislature, because of the representative system in the Senate and with the governor from where they are, they do not like to not just bail out the city per se, but they in particular don't want to be seen as acting entirely on their benefit. There's an entire like white working class constituency outside of the city of New York, which the state politicians, people like Chuck Schumer, Kathy Hochul, they don't spend most of their time in New York City. They spend it in Buffalo or I don't know, Plattsburgh or whatever, like way up in the north near the Canadian border. And the reason why is there's a ton of votes out there that have a very distinct set of like wants, circumstances, population is just totally different, right? These are like rural areas. And so they have competing interests a lot of times with the city. And there is kind of a rivalry within. Again, I'm just relaying kind of what I understand, the people who have worked in New York State politics, like generally. So from that point of view, I mean, look, the net result is he has the most control over the cops. He has the most control over city services, over schools, and like, yeah, sure, I'm sure I can throw some culture war, create a transgender transition fund, which, I guess is democratically representative of that population, for the New York City state, or for New York City, like generally. He can do some virtue signaling on ICE, but he doesn't have a ton of power, like at the end of the day, with NYPD. And yeah, I mean, you can end gifted and talented. Congratulations to the Asians of the city of New York. Like, that seems to be it. Like, to be honest, I really don't see very much. Now, can he be a spokesperson and use it as a bully pulpit? Yeah, he absolutely can. And that has power. How can we deny that? But I mean, I don't know. I just think a lot of people in the city of New York, and I hate to be cynical, but listen, I've seen too many people get their hopes up around certain types of politicians and just see crash and burn. Like, the truth is that we live in a deeply corrupt, entrenched system. New York State is probably one of the most corrupt states in the entire country. The reality that you're going to raise tax, and in particular, you're going to lower rent in one of the most like cartel-controlled cities in the world, where the global super elite rich all have been flocking to for the last 30 years, it's fantastical. I mean, even freezing rent control, again, the probably net market result is going to be a net result or net increase in rent generally in the city. You're also going to see you have huge tax problems in New York. You have a significant portion of the tax base, which is reliant on the super rich. They're going to leave, and you're going to find yourself in a huge budget shortfall. Like, if you lose even 25 billionaires from the city, it's going to significantly hurt your coffers. I don't think it should be that way. I don't think you should have that sort of tax system. I've always warned that it's a huge problem. A lot of businesses and others, the city employers, like, there's a reason that he's been cozying up to these people in some ways, because he knows, like, they can destroy your life. Like, all they have to do is pull 10,000 employees out. You lose a huge portion of the tax base, the developers. I mean, this is just the reality, I think, of what it means. And I don't want to take anything away. I'm happy that people have some hope left in politics, but just seeing all of the different roadblocks that you face. I mean, think about this. If you got your hopes up about the president, that's the most powerful man in the world. And 90% of the time, they get shit done whenever it comes to what they want. And this is a local politician, with no statutory authority, no veto capacity, no taxation, no foreign policy, nothing.
The alternative view, which is that.
Saagar has some really good points there. Some really good point. It is going to be a heavy lift. Even someone like me with my limited knowledge of New York and politics and all that, I'm nowhere near the level of Saagar because this is his life. But I get what he's saying. It makes sense. This is going to be an extremely difficult lift. Again, this is why I'm wondering how much leeway are the New Yorkers going to give him first? And secondly, what will the people of New York consider a victory? Right? You got 10 big things, and you just get 3 or 4 of them done, will that be enough? Like, all right, you got that done. All right, let's give you another term and see what happens there. But he's right about, you get into these, like, you become mayor, you become governor, you become president of the United States. Like, look when Obama took office. Man, people had all these lofty goals, and they thought, everything was going to change, especially black folks. And Obama really didn't do that much, right? He played it, the way it was supposed to be played. He was the perfect politician. But he really didn't do a lot, especially for African Americans. He did more than most. Let's put it this way: he did some things I thought he could have done more, and I think that's the consensus for most Americans. Black Americans, right, in America. It's like, hey, man, dude, you could have did more. But I mean, he played it right. He's the first black president. He played it right. I mean, bro, when you talk about top 5 list of, greatest American presidents ever, Obama's got to be in everyone's comment. He's on everybody's list. Whether you hate him or not, you just look at his accomplishments, look at what he did. I'm pretty sure he's going to be on just about everybody's list, top 5. Right? So he did that, but he could have done so much more, for the African American community. Could have done so much more for poor Americans. I mean, it was still status quo. The 99% owned him. Right? That's the thing that I look at, man. And like, Brother Dino was talking about how things are going on over there. You know, he was like how in the UK, man, like his Labour Party, they've done some craziness, right? Same thing we're going through. It's the exact same thing that's happened over here. This is why the Democratic Party, that brand is so disliked right now. Their numbers are so low because they're just going off the rails doing this crazy stuff. And you know, the Republicans, more to the point, MAGA, like the extreme Republicans, are taking over. And this is why the pendulum is going to swing back to the left. So, and bro, I am starting to get more involved in y'all politics, man. I'm reading more of what's going on over there. Man, we all have these demonstrations, man. It's crazy. And all this talk about, you know, grooming these kids and snatching these kids up and the problems they're having with the, you know, I guess the Middle Easterns over there, bro. I don't know, man. I think I'm cool with our politics, man. Like what y'all got going over there is crazy. And then y'all had this dude on the train here recently, just, you know, slicing and dicing folks, bro. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I'm glad you're here, man. But because you are always up on our politics, I need to start getting up on your politics over there, bro. And I plan on doing that. Let's continue.
Zoran has a much better relationship with Kathy Hochul than Bill de Blasio had with Cuomo.
Yeah,
They
that's fair.
hated each other. Cuomo, I mean, legendarily hated each other. And Cuomo did everything he could to fuck de Blasio. Everything he could. And de Blasio made a big promise in his campaign. He said, we're going to do universal preschool. Big promise. And Cuomo tried to block him at every pre-K in New York City. It's a fantastic success. It's been incredibly important. You know, it's one of the like most impressive things that a local city government has been able to accomplish in recent years. So if de Blasio can pull that off with, again, much less of a mandate, much less of the sort of like political power and movement that he can wield over their shoulder because Bill laws and them, and pull that off, then yeah, I think Zoran can pull some things off as well.
Here's the question.
Listen,
Did he get any real benefit from that? Everyone hated Bill de Blasio. And the problem in New York City is it's an expensive shithole.
But Sagar,
yeah.
The residents in New York City did get universal pre-K.
Okay, but they didn't appreciate it all that much.
Bill de Blasio was not, particularly popular.
Yeah.
But this program has been extremely impactful. So Zoran, I think, has a lot more going for him than de Blasio does. And we're going to see. You know, that's, like I said, the real question for him is going to be, how big of a mandate does he have tonight? How much does he transform the electorate? You know, and what does that mean for, you know, a youthful energy around him and his administration? How's he able to govern? And by pressure to Kathy Hochul, to Albany. Political benefit is to work with him rather than try to stop him. And to my mind, you already have seen that. I mean, even the fact Hakeem Jeffries felt the need that he had to endorse him is very telling. Kathy Hochul being at the rally with Bernie and AOC, very telling. So, you know, it's definitely going to be difficult. You are absolutely right about that. But I have much more hope than you do that he's going to be able to accomplish some key parts of his promises. And I don't think voters are stupid. Like, I don't think that they believe any one politician is just going to like wave a magic wand and make everything perfect in the city. But they want to see you out there fighting for the things that you claim to believe in and that you stood on during
Well, I guess my worry.
And that's the part right there that I agree with wholeheartedly, you know. And that is a question that I wonder as well. Like, okay, like I keep saying, how much grace will the city of New York, how much grace will the New Yorkers give Zoran Mamdani? I mean, he's definitely looks like he's going to win this thing. You know, the fact that Bill de Blasio was able to get pre-K, universal pre-K is huge. That's huge. If Zoran Mamdani can go ahead and step that up to universal childcare, that would be huge. Sagar made some good points as well. But the people in New York are definitely smarter than I would say most cities around the world. I mean, it's just something about New Yorkers, bro. They really delve into stuff. They dig into stuff. They get answers. They've always been that way, right? They've always, the 1%ers and all that. They're like, oh man, you know what I mean? You know your math and all this. Like a lot of stuff that I learned about history, I learned from New Yorkers. They were like, yo, son, you don't know about that, son. You don't know about Amistad, son. You don't know about this. You don't know about that. You don't know about Tulsa, son. It's just information that they get. And it's like, that made me go and start looking. And then now, of course, we got the technology made it so easy to go get this information. So New Yorkers are smart. New Yorkers will know that he's out here trying. And the final thing I want to say is this. The New Yorkers will see that this guy is working for them and not the 1%. And I think that's going to be the key. This guy's out here trying to get them some relief and not, he's not there continuing to get more tax breaks, more loopholes, and more money, to the 1%. He's out there actually trying to help the bottom 99. I think that's really going to help Zoran Mamdani as he goes on and looks like he's going to win this election and become the next mayor. So long as he keeps doing that and he keeps that tie with the people and he continues to listen and do everything he can to bring the New Yorkers what they are asking for, I think it's going to be all right. So I'm going to leave it there. The rest of that video, you guys should definitely check that out. Check out that whole episode. It's linked below in the description. And like I said, you can hear like Krystal and Saagar are definitely on either side of the political spectrum. And I really enjoy watching their debates. I love it when they have these talks. I hope that Zoran Mamdani is successful and the people in New York get what they need to become more prosperous and make more money and do whatever. Because I think he even floated the idea of a $30 minimum wage in New York. I got to look that one up, but I'm like, yo, that's another crazy one. But Saagar is right to be skeptical. Like, bro, there's only so much you can do from that office. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? You're going to have to build correlate. And if you have to build bridges with other people that can help you. You need a coalition with Albany. You need the governor on your side. You're not going to be able to just shun Republicans. You're still going to have to work with them. It's going to be extremely heavy lift for Zoran Mamdani, but we'll see. We'll see. We shall see. And you're right about that, brother. But if you look at the polls, if you look at what's going on, young folks are voting in big numbers. Like the early numbers are out, and Democrats, especially in early votes, have outperformed the Republicans in like I think the Republicans have come out and performed in good numbers in like 2 districts or something like that, whereas the Democrats has come out in 14 districts and really are outperforming and overperforming. The young kids are coming out, bro. Like he went into today with a double-digit lead in the polls. They have him at, up 16 points. Like, bro, even if Cuomo can cut that in half, he'll still be up 8 points. That's well outside of the margin of error. Young kids are voting, man, are coming out. You see, he's in the nightclubs. He's in the places that most politicians don't tend to go. Young people are excited. I think the young people are going to come out. I think he's going to do well. But the problem is, okay, how is he going to govern? You won. Now what? It's kind of like you out there, bro. You catch the tiger by his tail. Okay, you got the tiger, right? You got the tiger. But do you have a plan for his teeth? Because that tiger is about to turn around and pay attention to you. So we'll see. We shall see, man. But as far as the political party is concerned, the Democrats better do something about their leadership. They better be more open to, these type Democrats, these young Democrats, people like Zoran Mamdani. And if they don't, if Democratic leadership does not take heed, they're going to face a challenge within the party. I do not see Hakeem Jeffries being in leadership much longer. I don't see Chuck Schumer being in leadership much longer. I guarantee you, I bet you that Chuck Schumer resigns because he's definitely going to face some sort of challenge, primary challenge. And the same thing with Hakeem Jeffries. He's just going to get beat and be gone, write some books. But the dude is like talking to a wet napkin, bro. Like he just has no charisma. He's not really good being the leader. It's time for him to go. I'm pretty sure he put in a lot of work to get to that spot, but you just can't put anybody in the number 1 seat, man. You got to put a number 1 dude. Like my homeboy Brian says, BG says, man, you cannot send a pigeon to Eagle school, man. That's just how it works. It ain't never going to change. You know, that's you know, I mean, Bernie and AOC is they're just gaining traction, man. And No Kings thing, they're getting people excited, and that's what you need in politics, especially at the national level. They're getting people excited. So that's what they're doing. The rest of the Democrats are not. Right? Bernie, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, these are the Democrats, Zoran Mamdani, these are the Democrats that are getting Americans, you know, excited and involved. And that's what you need, especially going into a midterm. We'll see the effects of Bernie and AOC as we continue forward. You know, and this midterm, I think the Democrats will take the House back. There's no way in hell that Hakeem Jeffries is going to be Speaker of the House. I guarantee you that. So I think the Democrats take the House back, maybe the Senate by maybe a vote or two, but that'll be enough. And then what's going to happen? Donald Trump is going to get impeached again. They're going to put the brakes on everything. They're going to start clawing stuff back. And there's just going to be all sorts of legal fights those last 2 years of Trump's in office. What's Trump going to do? He's going to continue to keep trying to make money for himself and his family, for his brand, and just doing what Trump does, bro. But he's going to be legally, he's going to be fighting all this stuff. You're going to see a lot of pressure placed on his administration. And these people aren't going to be able to withhold the pressure. They're not going to be able to do it. So that's it. That's all I got, guys. I got to get going. It's time to go pick up my not so little one. And then we got to go run some errands. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking about this, bro. If you're watching this on Team Replay, please do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all that kind of stuff. Share it. If you see something you like, man, go in there and take a clip of it and send it off to your friends. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. Definitely going to be watching Zoran Mamdani, especially if he does in fact win this race, which I think he will. And they're going to call it pretty early. I think they're going to be able to, do a projection on him winning this election pretty quick. We'll see. He needs to, break that 50% threshold. So yeah, that's it. That's it. That's all I got for now. If he does become the next mayor of New York City, we're going to keep our eye on what he has going on in New York, and we'll see how he is able to govern, and we'll see what that does to the Democratic Party. All this new excitement that comes into the party, and what happens at the national level. Appreciate y'all rocking out with me, man. This was fun. I will be back. I promise you. I'm not sure when, but I will definitely be back. We got more stuff we want to talk about. Next time we jump on here, we're going to be talking some red pill stuff. Oh, hey guys, just so you guys know, I have begun writing a series of ebooks. Got the first one done. I'm going to do about 10, 11 ebooks on different topics. The first one's about hypergamy. Next time we talk, we'll do a red pill show. I'll put a link in the description so you guys can check out the ebook and let me know what you think. And yeah, you guys know I've been working on my writing skills. I'm trying to do a little bit, trying to become like a little bit of a writer. So I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Appreciate it. I'm DL Saint. This is the I Really Want to Know podcast, man. I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.
Thanks for watching my video. And if you enjoyed that, don't be afraid to comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, because every little bit helps. We're trying to grow. We're small over here. We really appreciate your time. And if you enjoyed that video, YouTube thinks you will enjoy this video, or maybe that one. Either way, we'll see you soon. Peace.